Hello everybody, this is Marla Martenson and you are watching another episode of Conversations with Cupid, and today I am super excited because I've been trying to get this guest on my show for months. He's very in demand. His name is Thomas Dale, otherwise known as Herbal Tom, and since an early age Tom has been studying natural foods. In elementary school, Tom was part of the YMCA Indian Guides and Nature Camp, where he began his fascination and study of edible that are eligible to eat medicinal wild plants. And from there, he'd pore over the field guides and the books. And, his passion continued through schooling. He focused on botany, health, metaphysics, wellness, and world studies. He's a certified workshop facilitator. He teaches, how do you say it? Qigong? Qigong. He's a tonic herbalist, training in food-based healing, breathwork, yoga, martial arts. He does it all. He sounds like me, like he has so many interests. Except Tom, hello.
Hello, hello.
Tom is like an encyclopedia. I took a workshop, you guys, with Tom and Grace, and it's like he's like my husband. When he learns something, he retains it, which I have trouble doing, and he's like an encyclopedia of knowledge, so I'm really excited. And today we're going to talk about 5 things that you should avoid and 5 things that you should do.
That's right.
I'm super excited. Okay, let's just dig right into it, Tom.
All right.
The first thing I've got on my list, because I picked 5 things that some of the things I learned from you in the workshop, and I was quite surprised. Number 1, fluoride.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about fluoride, because this is something that I just learned about in the past year and a half, that we should avoid fluoride, which is in our drinking water, it's in our toothpaste. Since I used to have fluoride treatments as a kid. So talk to us about why we should avoid fluoride.
Well, essentially, fluoride itself comes in many forms. A large part of the problem is the fluoridation in the water supply and the toxic fluoride that they're using in toothpaste products. Essentially, when it's found in nature, for example, green tea is a natural source of fluoride, and it's a natural mineral. In its pure natural sense like that, it's fine in normal amounts. However, when they're fluoridating the water supply as an attempt to support teeth and dental health, it actually does the opposite. Because they're medicating the water supply as a result with the fluoride. There's really no way of managing dosage because everyone drinks a different amount of fluoride. And part of the problems with this is excess fluoride causes what's called fluoridosis, which actually makes the teeth more porous and brittle. So this is a great thing for the dental industry, but not a good thing for those of us. It affects the bone health. It affects the dental health, but very importantly as well, it also affects our consciousness. And so the fluoride is in the family known as halides in the periodic chart, and these would include chloride, bromide, and fluoride. So essentially chlorine, bromine, fluorine, these minerals are toxic halides that are abundant in our diet and our water supply. We know that they chlorinate the water supply as an attempt to sterilize from any type of bacterium, but these chemical forms of these halides bioaccumulate in the body. So what happens is the chlorine clogs the thyroid and contributes to subclinical thyroiditis and all types of thyroid issues. The fluoride clogs the pineal gland and can dampen consciousness. This was one of the things that the Nazis would use in the concentration camps. They would fluoridate the water in order to dumb down the population.
I was going to bring that up because I read that when the soldiers, the American soldiers liberated the Nazi camps, they saw these big bins of fluoride next to the drinking water supply, so they were putting it in so that they would. And then Dr. Leonard Coldwell, who I'm a fan of, he said, do you notice some people just walking around like zombies? You know, and I do. I'll notice some people, they look so vacant, or you'll smile at them and they're just like not there. And he said, probably from the fluoride. And the pineal gland, which is, for people who don't know what that is, can you explain that?
Sure. The pineal gland is actually a gland that's in the dead center of the brain, and it's said in many ancient spiritual traditions to be the third eye. And this is because several reasons. For one, it helps to give us inner sight, but two, even on a physiological level, they've shown that the pineal gland actually has light receptors. So one would ask, why would a gland in the center of our skull, encased in bone, have light receptors? And that's because we can actually perceive light in other ways. So this third eye is very essential for our consciousness and our expansion, and also to keep our wits about us. So on a very pragmatic level, the fluoridation in the water supply dampens your ability to think properly, to think clearly, and to even function as a high vibrational individual. And so really important to avoid the fluoride.
So get fluoride. You could go to Whole Foods and get toothpaste without fluoride.
Correct, yes. So for example, with the toothpastes, I suggest using a toothpaste without fluoride and avoiding any other kind. Now, if you're really sold on the fluoride, there are some folks that won't do without it. If you must do the fluoride, there are companies that make a natural mineral fluoride. But the problem is with most, like Crest and a lot of the commercial stuff, the fluoride that they're using is a sodium fluorophosphate and something like that are actually a toxic waste. And they didn't know what to do with it, and they had all this toxic waste of the fluoride, and they said, hey, we'll start to put it in toothpaste. So the form that they're using is nasty, and it's actually the same stuff that they use in slaughterhouses to strip gore off the meat. And so it's just a really nasty stuff, so definitely want to avoid.
Something interesting, I switched my toothpaste like a year ago because I'm trying to open my pineal gland, decalcify my pineal gland, right? And today I tried my husband, because I got my husband off it too, and then he's been using the natural stuff, and then all of a sudden he says, I got a cavity. Your natural crap didn't work, and now I've got a cavity. And I said, well, whatever. I said, you're going to listen to this interview with Tom. But so I did try, went back to the regular toothpaste today for the first time in a year just to try it. The taste was horrible. Yeah. It was so weird. My palate had changed. I couldn't even stand it. It was really weird. Anyway.
Plus, a lot of what happens with those, quote, those unnatural toothpaste, the conventional kinds, they're also using saccharin and artificial sweeteners inside there rather than just something as simple as xylitol, which is a natural sugar alcohol. It actually inhibits cavity growth, because the cavities are actually caused by different bacterium in the mouth, and if we can inhibit those bacteria, we can inhibit the cavities. Further, the mouth is full of teeth, which are made of bone, and in all of our bones in our body can regrow, even according to medicine, but no one expects the teeth to. Now, this is, in my opinion, due to the fact that there's a toxic or septic environment going on in the mouth. And so in order for proper bone health and proper bone growth, we need alkalinity in the body. But one of the most acidic places in our bodies, aside from our stomach, is actually our mouth. And so not just because of the things that we say, but the actual alkalinity of the mouth is really important. So this is
so if people are drinking a lot of coffee, wine, diet sodas, all this, then let's say somebody has 2 glasses of wine a day and 2 cups of coffee a day. That's keeping an acidity in the body, which could cause cavities then.
Correct. Yes, and so there's really a time and a place to alkalize and acidify. And first, we need acids, digestive acids, when we're going to eat. So, for example, when we're on an empty stomach is the best time to alkalize. Also, this is why, in many traditions, like people would use baking soda to brush their teeth. Now, baking soda is excellent to brush your teeth because it is very alkaline, and it's a gentle abrasive to help remove the plaque and tartar and that sort of thing. So baking soda toothpastes are excellent and a great way to alkalize the mouth, or you can simply sprinkle some baking soda onto your toothpaste of choice and help support the alkalinity in your mouth.
Awesome. Okay, one question that's really on my mind is, when I go to, let's say, a Starbucks or anywhere and order a cup of tea, a hot tea, they're giving me that water, and there must be fluoride in the water.
Well, essentially, most cities across the United States actually do fluoridate their water. So I'm of the mind when it comes to anything is all we can do is our best. And so I really try and avoid using or drinking water in restaurants. You know, I'll usually say no water when I'm eating. For one, it helps support digestion to not dilute stomach acids when we eat. But if anything, sometimes you need to wet the palate just a little sip or two. Okay. So that's going to definitely be helpful. And this, the other side of it is, you know, we're doing our best, and it's our body's ability to detoxify ourselves that keeps us healthy. So it's more important how we drink our water at home. What kind of water we're bathing in is really important as well. It'd be great if everyone could have a full house water filter. It'd actually be even better if we didn't have to worry about these things in our water supply. But what I like to use is a shower filter inside the shower. It helps to at least neutralize the chloramines and the chlorines, because we actually breathe more chlorine when we shower than we do through our drinking water. And so that causes a lot of issues. And one beauty tip that you'll notice and love from a shower filter is your skin and your hair will be much softer and smoother because they're not as dried out by the chlorine. So the other side of that is certain foods, in particular, help the body to eliminate these halides. Like sea vegetables are tremendous to help detoxify the body and to mineralize at the same time, because minerals are the wealth of our body. And so they're like, you can think of them as gems, and we're better off getting our minerals from fruits and vegetables than from rocks. So spring water is good, but we should definitely get our vitamins and minerals from fresh fruits and vegetables, because they're in an organic mineral salt form that the body is ready to absorb. So things like kelp and chlorella, spirulina are excellent ways to help remove these harmful minerals from the body, and heavy metals and the like. And then other minerals, like one I'm a big fan of is boron. And boron is actually the 5th element on the periodic chart, which has an interesting connotation in and of itself. But boron has a particular affinity with the halides. So it helps to neutralize the chlorine and the fluoride and help to draw it out of the body and out of the endocrine system, where it gets clogged and clogging up our thyroid and our pineal gland, for example, and the pituitary. Further, the excellent way to get boron, aside from supplementing, I prefer the boron in a fructoboron state that actually comes from fruits. Boron is actually found in the tooth enamel, so it's really important to help with tooth health and bone health. But one of the simplest ways to get it is 20-mule team borax. Now, you can simply wash your clothes with it. And doing this helps to neutralize the chlorine. It'll help the life of your clothes, but also there will be trace amounts, residual on the clothing, which helps your body to absorb it, because the skin is the largest organ, and it's a good means of getting the boron. So
awesome.
A nice,
well,
safe
you mentioned
way.
the thyroid. I have a friend with hypothyroidism, and you know, people generally, the average, I think, American public, you get something and you just think, oh, I just got it, you know, I'm older or whatever. But what would you say that would be the main cause of hypothyroidism?
Sure. According to the doctor I mentored with, one of the main issues at stake here is the fact that the chlorine in the water supply is clogging the thyroid. And when the thyroid, when you consider that, I believe it's 80% of the iodine in the body belongs in the thyroid. Like literally, you can find 80% of the iodine within the thyroid, which means that's the best mineral for the thyroid. Well, if those receptor sites are all clogged with chlorine, which is another halide, so structurally similar and can fill those gaps, then the iodine can't get in, and the body can't produce thyroid hormone properly, because the body needs iodine and tyrosine amino acid in order to build thyroid hormone. So if the body's not getting enough iodine and is getting excess chlorine, then the thyroid's not going to function properly, which is why, according to the doctor I mentored with, there's the subclinical thyroiditis and subclinical thyroid issues leading to hypothyroidism, etc., because the thyroid is clogged. And so first and foremost would be helping the body to remove and eliminate the chlorine. So the shower filter is great. Water filters are fantastic, especially, to help. I'd suggest a pre-filter to help remove the fluoride as well, because most water filters don't simply remove the fluoride. They can help with the chlorine, especially if there's a carbon pre- and post-filter, but the fluoride requires a special filtration. And so really important there. So first we got to be able to clear the junk out, and then we need to be able to allow the body to receive the right minerals and the iodine, for example, to be able to plug back in. So taking boron significantly, the full, I believe it's 3 milligrams a day. Take it every day for a month, and then after a week or two, start incorporating more and more kelp and mineral supplements that are high in iodine. Kelp is one of the best natural sources of iodine. And what's interesting is, according to the RDA, the recommended daily allowance of iodine is really low. It's in the micrograms. And now, that's just enough so that we don't get goiter. A lot of the RDA is actually, they give you enough vitamin C so you're not getting scurvy. They give you enough vitamin D so you're not getting rickets. And thus enough iodine, and they're expecting you're getting it through iodide table salt to not get a goiter. Well, this is nowhere near the optimal amount. And it's said that in Japan, especially pre-Fukushima, the average Japanese person would get somewhere between 15 milligrams and 18 milligrams of iodine a day because of all the seafood and sea vegetables they ate. And that is actually more like an optimal range. So when we're getting more than sufficient iodine, and a good source of iodine would be eggs as well, or dairy, or sea vegetables, of course, are one of the best, hands down, but also seafoods. So obviously getting these all from clean sources is vital. When it comes to anything, I'm a firm believer that you got to know and love and trust your source. So know the source of your foods. It's vitally important.
Well, and this, I want to, also this person was a big consumer. This is the next thing that you should avoid, segue in, was a big soda pop consumer. And I know people who are addicted to Diet Coke, drinking it all day, and I got an email of an article. It said 45 reasons not to drink it or something, and I mean it listed kidney stones, osteoporosis, migraines, emotional disorders, asthma, obesity, hypothyroidism, schizophrenia, cancer from I don't understand why anyone would put that into their body. So tell us why we should not be doing it.
Okay, essentially some of the major factors on soda, and I'll also tie in some coffee to this, is coming down to... That was going to be my next one. Yeah, is coming down to the pH. So the body's pH is the potential hydrogen in the body. It's the body's ability to maintain alkalinity. So the pH scale, in a nutshell, is a range between 14 and 0, which 0 being the most acidic, 14 being the most alkaline, where the human blood is actually at about a 7.2 to 7.4, where the 7 would be neutral. So the body's blood should actually be slightly alkaline. Now, putting that into perspective, a soda is about a 2 and change on the pH scale.
And would that be diet or regular, either? Both?
Diet or regular, largely because the phosphoric acid that's often added to sodas, especially Coca-Colas, even the natural sodas have the phosphoric acid because it gives it that bite in the taste. And phosphoric acid is such intense, strong acid, it will dissolve bone. And that's why they they'll actually use sodas to clean engines, because it is such an acid.
About that on YouTube.
Right, you can actually see videos. The soda will actually eat a hole right through the hood of your car. And so it is such a nasty acidic pH that it is depleting to the bones, because in order to maintain the alkalinity in the body will literally leach alkaline minerals like calcium from the bones in order to maintain the blood's pH. Because if the blood is too acidic or too alkaline, even within a degree, we could die. So the body's so intelligent, it would rather leach these alkaline minerals from the bones to maintain the blood pH than kill us on the spot. So this is why it's so important to maintain a proper alkalinity, but especially doing things like coffee first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, or the American pastime, it acidifies the blood. We should alkalize on an empty stomach. And
which is
it's
hot water and lemon can do that.
hot water and lemon,
First
a little
thing in the
pinch of sea salt, some electrolytes. That's the best thing to do to start the morning, and I'll get into those in the top 5 tips next.
Okay,
But,
and I want to say also with this Diet Coke, I know a lot of people will, or Diet Soda, will want to drink it because they're overweight. Well, but it's a catch-22, right? Because
right.
I don't see anybody getting slimmer drinking this.
Right. It actually causes lots of insulin imbalance issues, and it's almost ironic that everyone you see drinking Diet Coke is usually obese. Mm-hmm. And it's not helping, you know. It certainly there's other factors involved, because, you know, they'll order like a big burger and fries and all this stuff with hydrogenated oils, and then get a Diet Coke thinking they're doing any good. Mm-hmm. Well, when it comes to acid-alkaline balance, the only acceptable times of doing an acidic beverage, for example, like coffee or wine or even a bubbly soda, would be with food. Okay. And that's why the Italians, for example, they'll have an espresso after a meal, mm-hmm. because their body's already full, and the acidity of the coffee actually helps to support the digestion. So an acceptable time to have bubbly water, for example, even carbonated water or sparkling spring water is actually acidic. It is just a chemical reaction that happens and still is somewhere around the pH of 3. So still acidic, not something to be doing all the time, but if you do choose to have a cup of coffee or any type of fizzy beverage, with food is the acceptable time, but never in excess.
Well, and then the coloring that they put in the diet drink, or the drink, right. The sodas to make it brown too, that's toxic.
Exactly. The caramel coloring is actually incredibly toxic. This whenever you see caramel coloring on a product, they actually produce this caramel coloring with fluoride. It's a fluoride production. I don't recall exactly how it's made, but I've seen that even the people that make the caramel coloring don't allow their families to drink it.
My goodness. Oh, yeah. So people, please, and it seems like people can't get off it, because I have friends, they just can't stop. It's a big, mm-hmm. And then the palate is so changed, because I've given a friend my green juice. I'm a big juice drinker, and she just thinks it's just horrible, but drinks Diet Coke all day. But I think it's ruined the palate. But once you cleanse, then you're going to really have a taste for real food and what God, the universe, put here for us to consume, and not chemicals.
That's right. And so what happens too is the taste buds do change, and it may take a few weeks or so, but just like our cells change in our body, and we don't actually have the same cells within our body a year or two down the road. Some change, like our skin cells and our and in our mouth, they change rapidly. Within days, we have new cells altogether. Certain cells within the body and in the core actually take 7 years to change over. But each time we get new cells, we're getting new DNA. So our DNA is creating these new cells based on the prior blueprint. And so if we can recreate the blueprint and refresh it, the body can fight the aging process and produce better and better copies of the cells. And so
yeah, because my copies got a little wrinkled in the last 7 years. I got to work on that.
Yeah, that can happen too. So it happens to the best of us. But certain foods definitely contribute to our longevity, which is a large part of my focus. I love to help people maintain their longevity and vitality, and rather than have to get sick.
Yes.
It's much more fun that way.
So going into coffee, that's another one. And I've had such a struggle with it because I'll go off it for 3 months, then I'll go back on it. And then I'm like, can't we even have a damn cup of coffee? I mean, it's like nothing, we can't do anything anymore. And I know that maybe you should get organic, or then I was reading something about it's really not healthy because this is burned beans and that's not good. So tell us your take on coffee. It's, I think, the #1 place Americans get our antioxidants from, and it's the ritual in the morning, the smell, the whole thing about it. It's addictive. I started getting addicted just the whole, okay, I make my coffee, then I sit down on my computer and it's like that little ritual. As well as being addicted to the caffeine. And then I'd stop drinking it. I'd have major headaches. I called the doctor a couple months ago thinking I had a brain tumor because I had a headache for 3 days that wouldn't go away, and I had stopped coffee. So then I got to take a bunch of Advil, and then, then like 3 weeks later I'm back on coffee. So help!
So essentially the best way to go about it, in my opinion, is to find a healthy replacement. Now, I like a good cup of coffee once in a while, but the thing when I say good cup of coffee, that's increasingly hard to find. There are certain coffees that are definitely better than others. The majority of coffee is very acidic. Now, there are certain varieties that are grown. For example, one of my favorite is organically grown coffee from Papua New Guinea. The soils, the volcanic soils in Papua New Guinea are actually very alkaline. And as a result, the coffee comes out less acid, and some even say alkaline forming. Now, which is really fascinating too, because then, and I've also noticed that when I've had these coffees, I feel different. My body feels different because then if I just have regular conventional coffee, I don't even touch that stuff anymore because it makes me feel dirty. And there's several reasons to that. For one is the acidic. I associate that acidic feeling with that kind of dirty feeling. Two, it's the amount of chemicals that are in the coffee. If it's not organic, coffee is actually one of the most polluting crops on the planet, next to cotton, unfortunately. And so look at the abundance of cotton and coffee used in the world. And so really important to find, for one, organic coffee, not only for your health, but for also the health of the planet. Beyond that, even organic coffee, because of how the beans are often harvested, you have these beans that the coffee berry has this nice pulpy fruit on the outside that is loaded with antioxidants. And so the coffee berry is a great source of the antioxidants. But what happens is they toss all these beans into like big piles where they'll ferment, and oftentimes mold will grow on those beans before they actually take the seeds out, which are the seeds, what we call the beans, are actually then roasted to make coffee. So this mold creates what's called an aflatoxin, which is one of the most potent liver carcinogens on the planet. And it's so toxic that this is why peanuts are so harmful as well, because peanuts are actually one of the biggest sources of aflatoxin. And the aflatoxin is a kind of mold and fungus that grows under the ground. And so that's why OSHA has a health standard for all peanut workers. They have to wear specialized masks in order to not breathe the aflatoxin.
That's why all these people have peanut allergies. They have nut allergies with them.
Exactly. And so that's one of the reasons that leads to the peanut allergies and cross-contamination. Some folks are definitely more susceptible to this than others. And I avoid peanuts like the plague. Now, you can find, because I'm all about finding the healthy replacements, you can find jungle peanuts. And these are actually grown in South America in the jungles where they don't have an issue with this type of mold growth. And one of the companies I know for sure that makes the jungle peanuts, it's called Essential Living Foods. They actually test every batch that comes in to ensure that it's aflatoxin free. Now, they do cost a little bit more, but they're live and delicious, and they're like peanuts should be. So they're really, really amazing.
So all the reports we hear on the benefits of coffee, you know, Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and all this that could help with that. I guess it's just the toxicity and overrides it. I mean, it could be good if it was organic and not moldy and all
Right.
that.
Exactly. Which is why you have to know your source. For one, you check the source of the study. Who's putting out the study? Who's financed it? And so who's on the payroll?
Yeah.
The other side of that is what type of beans were they doing? Were they testing the beans before it was roasted? Or were they testing them after it was roasted? And so oftentimes they'll test these things prior to processing, when it's in its most vital, healthy form. So if you're looking at green coffee beans, they're a great source of chlorogenic acid, which is great for the metabolism, which is why, Dr. Oz started the green coffee bean fad, because it actually does work, like yerba mate, for example, another tremendous what shall I say, herb for like a coffee replacer and for metabolism and energy. That's one of my favorite coffee replacers. Doesn't
I drink
have
that every day.
Yeah, it doesn't have the coffee flavor, but you can get a roasted yerba mate that's got the coffee-esque flavor. And if you're making it with, a good creamer and a nice kind of roasty taste, if you want the roasty taste, there's things you can add to it that give it that more coffee-esque flavor. That, like one thing I like a lot is the Dandy Blend. Another one is Ticino. Ticino, you brew just like coffee. It's got a delicious coffee-esque flavor to it, and you can mix that with your mate if you still want the caffeine, because mate has what's called matein, which actually really supports the metabolism, mental acuity, and alertness. It's a great source of chromium and niacin, which helps for circulation and blood sugar balance and metabolism. And yerba mate is loaded with minerals and also very alkalizing. So as the morning ritual, I suggest folks get into yerba mate or to green tea or matcha, especially if you want a really good caffeine kick, but in a more balanced way that leaves you sharp and alert rather than scatterbrained with a lot of energy. Then I suggest the yerba mate and the strong green teas, like matcha green tea being one of the best. In fact,
I picked up some of that matcha one day when I saw you at Whole Foods, and I've been drinking that every day. It's great.
Good stuff.
And this segue, because you said, you can use a great creamer. Now, segueing into this, I see a lot of people putting that non-dairy creamer, that vanilla creamer, the flavored creamers, and I just look at that and I think just artery clogging, poison. It's just, so tell us about that. If you're at a restaurant and you are having a cup of coffee, don't reach for that stuff.
Right, exactly. And unfortunately, you'd actually be better off with the conventional cream than you would with the non-dairy creamers. And even that conventional cream, I don't touch this stuff. I'd rather drink it black if I'm going to drink it there. I learned to drink
it black. I just love the taste now, and it took a while. I used to like cream in my coffee or something, or soy creamer, and now I just like, if I do have a coffee, I just have it black. Yeah.
Sure. And so like what I like to do, and coming back to kind of healthy replacements, is, so for example, finding the best coffees we could find. The organic Papua New Guinea is a great alternative for when you do that cup of coffee, but I still prefer to do like a yerba mate or green tea first thing in the morning. Okay. Usually do my coffee after, if I do one, which is sporadically, I'll do it after lunch or after breakfast, for example, once I've had something in my stomach. And the organic Papua New Guinea I've actually found at Sprouts these days.
Okay, I'll look for that. Now, you had said once, too, you might take coffee medicinally.
Right.
Sort of.
I find I do best with coffee therapeutically, not like a daily routine. And what I mean by that is my daily routine is something like yerba mate or the green tea, the matcha. But when I really want that, what they call in Chinese medicine, yang force, that charge, that get up and go, you got a lot of stuff to do and really need to get up and go, that's when coffee can really do well. For most folks, what happens in this coffee cycle is they drink coffee first thing in the morning on an empty stomach just to get going. So it spikes their adrenals, and then their adrenals crash because we're out of adrenaline, and then the body is cycling through cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone that then makes us edgy and like nervous and kind of scatterbrained. So
and
also
puts on
contributes
belly fat too. Puts on belly
fat, exactly, and causes insulin imbalance and these sorts of things. So we're on edge through the rest of the day. We lay down at night to try and sleep, and the body's still running on cortisol. So we don't sleep a full solid 5 hours of deep sleep in order to recharge the adrenals. So what do the next morning? Go for the coffee again. And you start this
Cycle.
vicious cycle that of adrenal exhaustion, essentially. Now, the yerba mate and the green teas, they do have some caffeine, but nothing as much as the coffee itself. Matcha, which is the highest caffeine of any green tea because it's so concentrated, it actually is half the caffeine of coffee, but more balanced with the L-theanine, which helps to calm and focus the mind.
Yeah, because
so
when I
again,
drink it, I don't feel jittery. I don't feel it at all, the matcha.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because the actual molecules of the caffeine in the tea or in the mate actually work differently in the body. The body receives them differently. It has to do with a different balance. So back to the coffee, lastly, part of the reason that it's such a problem, and this is why here in California, even Starbucks and anyone who produces coffee has to put a disclaimer now that said this product contains a chemical known to the state of California to cause cancer.
I've seen that sign up at Starbucks where you do your little creamers and stuff there. I'm like, what?
Exactly. And what that is that chemical is called acrylamide. Acrylamide is basically, you can think like acrylic. It's a kind of acrylic amide chemical that is produced whenever you're roasting, burning, or baking a food. So fire or hot metal against especially like starches or fats or proteins, begins to convert up to abundance of carcinogens. So whenever you see the black or the brown on baked goods or on grilled foods or roasted coffee, it's an abundance of acrylamide. So when you're taking something that's naturally high in these antioxidants, like the coffee beans, and then roasting the heck out of them, and so you're oxidizing a lot of these antioxidants and then producing an abundance of carcinogens, you got to kind of find, well, where did those antioxidants go and how much am I getting compared to how much oxidation I'm getting from the acrylamide and the other chemicals. So that's why I say coffee, if at all, sporadically and on occasion. And so finding a healthier, more alkalizing routine to do as your daily ritual.
Okay. All right. I have one more thing to ask you, and this one I didn't know about, and I'd heard about it like a year or two ago from Dr. Coldwell again. Sunscreen. Here I am, a pale redhead, have put sunscreen all my life because I don't want to get skin cancer, and then I hear that sunscreen causes skin cancer.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do?
Essentially, there's the problem there is, for one, the skin is the largest organ. So whatever we put on our skin is essentially like eating it, because if we wouldn't eat it, in other words, don't put it on your skin. And so even many of the natural sunscreens that you'll find still have this octocrylene and oxybenzone, and anything like that is what is a large part of the problem. Then you get into things like Hawaiian Tropic or whatever other companies are out there that are standard. They have all types of other nasty stuff within there, aside from just the sunscreen chemical itself. So the safest sunscreens to use, if and when you choose, for those with fair skin, would be something like zinc or titanium dioxide. The zinc oxide being one of the best, because these are also safer for the reefs. These toxic sunscreens actually harm the reef. They harm the fish, and they've been shown in very popular tourist areas to like really break down and inhibit the reef growth and kill them off. So it's really important to have a good clean source. Now, they've also shown that even those that do get sun are, well, essentially you're less at risk getting sun than you are from using sunscreen. So
yeah, now I walk my dog. You know, I live in Los Angeles. I walk the dog around, and it's hot here in the valley. I don't put sunscreen on anymore, and I haven't gotten burned.
Yeah, because the body is adaptogenic. The body has the ability to adapt to the situation, which is why our body produces melanin, and it produces these pigments in order to protect us. Just like happens in the plant kingdom, you know, these blueberries get so blue and dark because those are loaded with the pigments that help to protect them from the sun, from infection, and from other things too. Same with our bodies. Our body has the natural defense mechanism to be able to ward off and protect ourselves.
Now, of course, I wouldn't lay out in the sun, with no protection. I would burn. Or when I went down to Cozumel last summer, I had to be so careful. I slathered myself with sunscreen. I put a hat. I put sleeves, everything, and I'd swim, and then I wouldn't go very long, and I still did at one point get burned, and because we're so close to the equator down there, so dangerous for me. I had no choice. But yeah. I guess, what are we going to do? If you go down there, you got to do it. And then now you say about the fish and the reefs, it's like...
Well, and this is where it comes down to getting the healthy replacement again. So, for example, when we lived in Maui, I didn't really use sunscreen at all. I would do things to protect my skin, so doing like antioxidant creams on the face and these sorts of things, because the antioxidants are what protect the body from oxidization from the sun.
Okay.
So green tea is a tremendous antioxidant. When we're getting enough antioxidants within our diet, plenty of vitamin C from fresh fruits and vegetables, our skin and our body is better able to protect itself from the oxidization and damaging effects of the sun and other things too. So the other side of that is temper yourself, which means, little by little spend a little bit more time in the sun, avoiding the noonday sun. Mm-hmm. The sun's definitely more intense in Maui and in Mexico and closer to the equator, so avoiding those times of days, but spending, little times in the earlier morning or late in the afternoon, little by little building your way up in how much time you spend in the sun. Tempers your body, gives your body time to build its defenses over days and weeks. And then also, when you are out during those times, finding a good natural, like zinc oxide or titanium dioxide based sunscreen. Like, I really like Badger, really great company. They're really good, clean, organic products and very committed to quality. So they're a really good one. And quickly jumping back to the creamers, so wanted to touch on that. These days we're so blessed that there's so many delicious, healthy, non-dairy, natural creamers that are out there. One of our favorites here in the house is coconut creamer. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll actually take coconut cream from Trader Joe's, for example, and just you stir that into my coffee, for example. There's also a company So Delicious makes amazing creamers that are so delicious. That are actually, there's a French vanilla. They're nice and thick and creamy. Yeah. If you're looking to avoid the sweet but still get the flavors, they've got delicious flavored stevia drops, and you can use the coconut cream. So there's a lot of alternative options out there these days that are much healthier than International Delight.
Yeah, stay away from those. All right, so that's fantastic, and I know you like to balance everything out with things that we should do, so give us a couple tips of things that are really great for us that we can be doing.
Okay, first and foremost, I say everyone could benefit from this, and that's to have a tall glass of warm water first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. I do this every morning, and it's got to be warm, or at least room temperature, because this helps to flush the kidneys and the colon. So a few squeezes of lemon or a pinch of sea salt in there helps the body to have the electrolytes to rehydrate the body. So it's best to help alkalize and hydrate on an empty stomach like this. And then switching over to a nice alkalizing beverage. So you can do tea or yerba mate. Green tea is fantastic. It's one of Japan's keys to longevity and really is a tremendous source of antioxidants and minerals. And then you can also do a green juice first thing in the morning. So those would be like kind of top two morning practices. And then after that, I like to switch over to like a live food smoothie or doing like fresh fruits and vegetables first thing in the morning. So this is a great way to start your day. You can do a smoothie of like fresh berries, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries. These are tremendous antioxidants, but these live foods help us feel more alive. Mm-hmm. If you want to feel more alive, eat foods that are alive, like fresh fruits and vegetables, even sushi, for example. You feel more alive. But if you want to feel more baked, toasted, tired, or fried, then eat more toasted, fried baked foods. Exactly. So it's really about finding that balance. And then next, I'd say actually back to the live foods, probiotic foods are really incredible. Our ancestors weren't weren't taking probiotic pills. They were fermenting their own vegetables, making their own sauerkrauts and kimchis. And these are living foods because they have the beneficial bacteria that are 80% of our immune system and our digestion that live in our gut. So the more we can nourish these, and the better we can balance our digestion and our immune system, which are really the foundation of our health.
Yeah, I start with a good probiotic every morning, like 34 or 44 billion. The ones that you refrigerate, start with that. You know,
exactly.
So. And I never get sick. I mean, I'm a big juicer. I do my probiotics. I do all that stuff. And it really does keep you healthy. That gut health is key.
Yeah. Digestion is the foundation of good health because that's where it all begins. If your body is able to digest and assimilate and absorb all the nutrients that we get in our food, and of course inhibit any type of toxemia and like backup and backlog of any type of other stuff, because people tend to get a little quite caked up, and even the best of us, that we notice the belly line more than anything. And when you see men and women that look pregnant, that's because there's stagnation within their bowels, and even though they may think they're going every day. We need to be moving at least 2 to 3 times a day.
Yeah, because some guys that you see that big stomach, and sit-ups aren't going to help, right?
No, because that's in the colon.
Okay.
And that's in the colon and the intestines, and so it's fermentation, it's bread, cheese, and meat most of the time, and it causes a backlog. The body gets all caked. That's why Elvis and John Wayne actually died with somewhere between 50 and 75 pounds of undigested fecal matter.
And they probably were guys that say, hey, I go to the bathroom every morning,
Right, exactly. And, it's okay to go. You want to at least go once a day. But basically, for every meal we have going in, there should be a meal coming out. And for some folks, there are different body constitutions. For some, once a day is a good solid. But that should be one productive movement. And if you're doing like a tall glass of warm water every morning, and then switching over to a tea or a smoothie, you're going to be moving and regulating your bowels. You'll never have to worry about it.
Isn't it, people will say, oh, the coffee makes me go to the bathroom, and that's why I like it in the morning. But it's not actually the coffee, but it's the warm liquid, isn't it?
Yes, but the coffee, too, does have mild laxative effects, compounded with the warmth of the coffee in the morning. But yerba mate does the same thing. Yerba mate is actually like a mild laxative as well, and that'll get.
And what about ice? My husband always gets on me when I make a smoothie and I put ice. He says ice is so bad for digestion; it's bad for the body. Right. And I'm a Vata in the Ayurveda, so. Yeah,
so cooling. Basically, the body has to have everything heated to body temperature in order to digest. So ice. I don't usually do cold smoothies. The most I may do is I'll choose frozen organic fruit over, like frozen organic berries, for example, over conventional berries, fresh berries, any day. Because you're better off having less pesticides in the organic. Now, not because I'm going for cold, because I'm going for the organic. But essentially, everything has to be heated to like 98.6 degrees in order to digest it anyway. So foods that are too cold for the body, they're like a shock to the system. And in fact, drinking ice water first thing in the morning or a cold smoothie like that, you can actually make you cramp. It can it causes the body to condense up and to tighten up. And so better off having these warm foods first thing in the morning like that.
All right. Great. Well, any last tips for us before we say goodbye?
Let's see. I'd say breathe. That would be the #1 thing to come back to. And
we're going to do another video on breath work, so everybody, you can come back for that because he does amazing. Breath work's amazing. And
so here's the little teaser: is simply breathe, and that's because everyone thinks they know how to breathe. They think, oh, I've been breathing since birth. And as a breath worker, it's funny, I teach people how to breathe, and it's tricky because many people think, oh, I already know how to breathe, but there is a science to it. There are many techniques to breath. Yes. And taking a slow, full breath is the essence of beingness. So when we have breath control, we can have breath and life mastery.
All right, awesome. Well, Tom, thank you so much. I can't wait for our next video to delve into all that other stuff. And I'm going to put all your links below so everybody can connect with Tom. You do personal coaching, you do all sorts of things, right? So So
Yeah, and I've got some events coming up very soon this month too, if you're local to the LA area. Also available, and you can always find me on Herbal Tom everywhere, even if you spell it wrong. So herbaltom.com, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you name it.
Yeah, because it's THOM. So
correct. But
we'll find you. All right. Thanks, Tom. Bye.
my pleasure. Many blessings.